Who is Dr. Destroyer?
Who is Dr. Destroyer? Who is Dr. Destroyer? Who is Dr. Destroyer?
Who is Dr.
Who is Dr. Destroyer? Who is Dr. Destroyer? Who is Dr. Destroyer? Who is Dr. Destroyer?
I am Dr. Destroyo. From the Death by Media Man podcast show, it's Dr. Destroyo. The story of the world's first true supervillain. We're telling Dr. Destroyo in sequence every 2 weeks. So if you haven't listened to the first episodes, go back and start there. Then, this will all make a lot more sense. Chapter 29. I'm coming for you, Dr. Destroyo. I'm coming to find you. Yeah, Rex Challenge claimed a lot of stuff. He claimed that he was coming to my city to track me down, and he was saying it in big, bold letters all over the internet. I'd read it in text, and I'd heard him explaining himself in the videos he posted. Me, I was spending a lot of time in front of the bathroom mirror while wearing the mask I'd made for myself. It was like I'd just bought a new painting and I couldn't stop looking at it, studying the different ways the colors mixed and separated. I was my own new book, and I kept rereading my favorite bits, reanalyzing the best passages for new facts. And I liked how the mask felt so snug against my skin, against my skull. It was like it had just grown there, naturally. I tried to imagine staring somebody down while wearing the mask. I thought about how Tom had looked in it, and how he'd looked as he died. I thought about the chain of events and series of conversations that had put Warren at the top of the Mason Hotel. Rex Challenge didn't look like somebody who could be convinced to stumble to his death with a manic rant and a stomach full of illicit psychoactive substances. He didn't look like somebody who could be accidentally murdered down a long, dark alley. He looked a little better put together than that. So I stared at the masked face that was floating in the bathroom mirror. I imagined my brain trapped beneath the cloth, crackling with savage electrical activity. He was coming. A conflict was coming to me. I'd asked for it. I dared them to come after me. And now it seemed that they were. He was. They were. Him. Them. The world. Everybody. Anybody. It all made sense. I just couldn't remember why. I had to be Dr. Destroyo because the only other path was madness. And Dr. Destroyo had to make his will manifest upon the world because that was just the nature of who he was. Dr. Destroyo was madness. But the good kind. Or the bad. Just not bad for him. Bad for everybody else. Could I kill Rex Challenge, just like I'd killed the others? I'd invited chaos into my home. I was asking for conflict. I was looking for a fight. The mask was a condom I pulled on to protect myself from all the sick dangers of the world as I went out to fuck the planet with my big nasty thoughts and schemes. This was the next stage of life. For me and for everybody. This was as natural as human nature, as constant as the process of evolution. I was what happened tomorrow. I was a sign of times to come. I stared into the mirror and tittered. The titter turned into a giggle, and the giggle turned into a chortle, and the chortle turned into something longer and less nervous. A drawn-out laugh that started beneath the mask and seemed to go on forever. It felt good to laugh. Chapter 30. I spent a week just watching TV and avoiding the world. I decided that it'd be easier to just stay offline while everybody had a chance to respond to Dr. Destroyo's manifesto. My theory was that I'd probably be happier if I just kept my head down and thought about other stuff for a while. I was still trying to deal with what was happening in my life, and the process wasn't going really well for me. I think I'm cracking up, I admitted to myself, staring into the bathroom mirror. I think there's something wrong, deep inside of me. A week went by like that. Money, I decided, was just a whisper of an illusion, an almost imaginary fence in which to pen feeble-minded pigs. Money was like a god or an ink blot. When people looked at it, they saw what they wanted to see. When I looked at money, I saw a sad joke. Nevertheless, I was going to need some cash, eventually, just to keep my landlord off my back. Though that remained next month's problem, and I could deal with it just by not thinking about it. It's not impossible if you put your mind to it. Anybody can stop thinking about things. It's not like it's my special power or anything. You can ignore almost anything if you try hard enough. So I took a week off to sit back and do nothing. I smoked a lot of weed, and I watched whatever was on TV at whatever time I was awake. I honestly think I could have stayed like that, doing nothing for months. Maybe years. Maybe forever. I'd be great at fading away. I could just curl up on the couch, flickering past scenes on the TV that I'd barely even watch. A documentary about World War II fighter planes. An infomercial about a new type of sponge. New sponges? Holy shit! I spent the last of Tom's money and some of my own on pizza and potato chips. For the most part, I left the lights and my clothes off and just walked around the apartment in the dark, totally naked. I stopped doing laundry and I avoided the shower. I stagnated and began to smell. I wallowed in my own miserable crapulence and depression. Every once in a while, I picked up the mask of Dr. Destroyo, but I couldn't wear it. Not for that week. For a 7-day stretch, I was too pathetic for the mask. I cried constantly, hysterically, and often for no real reason. I hated myself too much to even masturbate. Maybe I needed it. A week of laying low. Or maybe it was just a weakness of my character. All that cowardice, peering out frightfully at the world. Like an author, I was crafting different characters in my head and imagining relationships between them. I had a victim voice, and a vengeful voice, and a couple of others. It wasn't like I had multiple personalities, so much as I was just giving vocal tones to my various points of view. I was talking loudly to myself, but I wasn't really saying anything. I didn't even go online to look at pornography. I lost interest in porn and all the impossibly different combinations of naked bodies and physical activities. It had been a good while since I'd last been laid, but it wasn't something I thought about very much. Actually, ever since I'd killed a man, or started killing people, I hadn't thought about sex at all, except in the most abstract of ways. The idea of being physically close to another person was far less appealing than it had ever been before. I didn't even enjoy the escapism of sexual fantasies. Not anymore. I was alone in the world, and I was good with that relationship. Fuck the world. I didn't need them. Aside from electricity, shelter, cable TV, and junk food to subside on. Yeah, fuck the world. Who needs them anyway? In the end, it was a pretty quiet week. When I slept, I dreamed about fires, hooded figures, and walking corpses. Tom used to say that he couldn't dream when he was smoking a lot of weed all the time. I wished that was true, but it wasn't for me. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, covered in sweat, my subconscious dripping in blood and grotesque imagery. I couldn't make my mind be quiet. I could numb it, but I couldn't shut it up. Dr. Destroyo is written and produced by Hank Pattison for the Death by Media Man podcast channel. You can subscribe to the Death by Media Man podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. If you enjoyed this, please leave us a like or a comment and tell a friend. And if you'd like to support the Death by Media Man channel with your money, there's a link to our Patreon in the description of this program. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next installment of Dr. Destroyo.